On this week's show, we're discussing Battlefield 6 has finally arrived, Star Wars Outlaws is choking on its aspirations, but Avatar lives, and PlayStation invests millions in Elden Ring publisher Bandai Namco. All that and much, much more on this week's GamerGuild Podcast. Good game, everyone, and welcome back to your weekly show, the GamerGuild Podcast, where we get together to round up all of the week's video game news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/GamerGuildTV and available up there in the digital clouds on your podcast platform of choice. Just search for the GamerGuild Podcast and you will find us there every Monday, 8 a.m, as we go live with a brand new show. Your podcast players for the week are myself, Chris, at Arcane Rogue on social media, and the returning, in the absence of Mr. Richie, Rob. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yeah,
subbing in for Richie on his jollies.
Yeah, he's gone to Turkey, so when he's back on next week's show, he'll have new teeth, he'll have his hairline refreshed, he's going to look great. You know what? He's actually there for a family wedding, but how would our friend group react if he genuinely rocked up with like massive pearly whites and a full like new head of hair like Bob Ross?
You know what happened? I think there'd be like a good 20 minutes when nobody says anything because we're all trying to be too polite. Mm-hmm. And then, like, the dam would break and someone would say something sarky, and then everyone would just pile in for the next 2 years.
It would begin. It would absolutely begin.
It would just be like one of these where you sat down, you're like,
so...
Good day, Richie.
Good holiday, yeah. Yeah, God, could you imagine? It's the thing that scares me with that. I don't think I'd ever get it done, but it's the way they file them down to that, like, horrible, like, goblin shark looking teeth. And you got to remember, even though they come out with their lovely shiny veneers, underneath that the real teeth are still left looking like pegs in your mouth.
I don't get the logic of taking away actual teeth to put other things on top of them that look like teeth but then also don't look like teeth. I don't know, man. It freaks me out.
You're basically wearing like a tooth cap. Just a little hat that sits on your teeth, and you need to get them redone, right? After they don't last forever.
No, it's...
So, I feel like it's all well and good doing it when, like, you're in your 30s or your 40s, maybe. But when you have to go back and get it redone and you're pushing retirement, it's like, that must be a right ball ache. Like, flight out of Turkey in 2055 to get them redone again, and... I
feel like it's going to be that thing where it's like, people wore, like, really, really bad wigs in the 70s and 80s. It's going to be seen in the same kind of light as that, I think. It's
going to be a bunch of 70-year-olds down at the local social club with a pint and like this immaculate smile still, but the rest of them is aged terribly, and they're just rocking this beautiful pearly white smile.
You look like TARDIS from The Simpsons that still has gone past teeth.
Well, indeed. But of course, we're not here to talk about dental hygiene and any plastic surgery that you may or not want to get. We're here to talk about video games. We do have a great show lined up for you all. So before we get into it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring-a-ding-ding that bell so you're kept in the loop with all the great content we do here on this channel. Like our weekly live streams every Thursday, Friday, we play with you, the wonderful community, here on the channel, and also our merchandise store is flourishing. Plenty of gear up there now, plenty of stuff for the summer. If it's still hot out there where you live, why not get yourself a nice pair of shorts or a t-shirt, because there's plenty of sales that go up too. And Rob, we like to start every single show with what we've been playing, and for I want to say the last 2 months, myself and Richie basically spoke about nothing other than Expedition 33. So please, to the conversation, bring something new, something different, something fresh, because I'm pretty sure our audience are getting fed up of the 15-minute segment at the start where we just wax lyrical about this fantastic Game of the Year nominee.
Yeah, like honestly, like I don't have anything new to bring to the table. I have relatively old at this point, but I'm still obsessed with Baldur's Gate 3.
Wow. Okay.
I think about 90 hours into my first playthrough of note. And like I'm at a point now where I know like what the end game is, and like I have the end game missions kind of available to me. But I've become so attached to my character that I kind of don't want it to end, type of thing. And I'm just like kind of like trying to put off going to do like I'm at the max level. I've like got really good end game gear, but no, I'm just too attached to my character's life. He's a paladin. He's like 6 foot. He's like a half giant. He's called Chad Thunderhammer. and like,
Of course he is. Of course he is.
Yeah.
Does he have great teeth? Does he have great teeth?
Yeah, he's got great everything. Got great hair. He's got a giant mustache. He's in a relationship with like the goth girl of like the saga in Shadow Heart. So he's just living his best life, and I don't really want it to end. So I'm just doing all my side quests, and then finally I'll do the final missions.
Did you start Baldur's Gate this year, or did you play it when it launched back in 2022? I think 23.
So this is going to be an awful admission. So I bought the game when it came out, and I played it for like I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 hours, and for some reason it didn't stick with me. But as I went away and kind of like read up a bit, and apparently I picked like a really kind of difficult class to play for my first playthrough, and like it wasn't like kind of like beginner friendly. So like the parts of the game where I was like, this just like I feel like I'm getting my ass kicked all the time. It's not fun. It was just because like I had like a bad start.
Yeah.
But I tried it again, and then I've just been like hooked super deep into the story now. And like even my girlfriend, like she's got her own character. She's playing on like the story mode, so it's like not as intense. So yeah, we just kind of like alternate between that, and I'm playing on PC, like console as well. So I've been really impressed with like the console kind of controls in it as well. I was expecting it to be quite unwieldy, but they've done a really good job.
Yeah, I think we're gone far from the days where PC to console ports really struggled with the controllers. Now I think they do well to adapt it and like have sub menus that you open up and such. I know like Age of Empires and everything plays smooth as anything on console now. It's interesting to see you've played like 90 hours with this character, and we've all done it, and our audience will be guilty of it, where you put so much of your life into a game, and then at one point you just never see them again. Like that character you spent literal days and days with, 24-hour blocks of time, and at some point in your life you'll just leave it, and you might go back to it in a decade, 2 decades time, like, oh yeah, this is my save character, but you don't remember anything about the game, how it plays, where you left them stranded. I always like to do this thing when I wrap up with a game, where I always like to go back to like whatever the headquarters is. So even though you finish the last mission and you get the platinum trophy, there's nothing left for you to do. I always like to return the character to like the homestead or the house or wherever they would normally reside in that fictional world, and make my save file there, so that if I ever do come back to it, they're in a comfortable place. They're at home. They're with their homies. They're doing something. Just there's that little fictional character in that Ready Player One world that's like, thank you, Chris. Thank you for leaving me somewhere where I'm safe. I'm secure, and I don't have to worry about being ripped apart by dragons or anything in my downtime. And
like Chad Thunderhammer has this like nice little camp, and he's got like a doggy found and like an owl bear cub.
Yeah.
That's where he's going to reside once he's saved Larian, however it's called.
There's definitely like a Wreck-It Ralph Ready Player One-esque joke where all these poor NPC, essentially they become NPCs once we stop using them. They're just saved in the megabytes and in data somewhere, and their character is just like left in a desert, and they just have to spend eternity in their digital world in the middle of nowhere with limited rations or whatever's available. But if you do what's right by them and leave them somewhere good, like in a spa or somewhere.
It's like the aging movie star in like kind of in TV shows, you see, where it's like, I was a movie star once. It's like, one time I was a player character. Yeah, like, whatever NPC, go away.
Exactly. But yeah, you do wonder. That's great. Baldur's Gate 3. Would you class it as your, I guess, game of the year then, if you had played it in launch year? Because it won pretty much all the awards it was up for.
I would say so, yeah. It holds up in every regard now. It's not a new game now, right? Like it's
2-3 year old now, I think.
Yeah, and it holds up in every regard, and I don't see many other games kind of pushing past like the level that they set. Like maybe the new Witch is going to do it or whatever, but right now there's like a standard being set by that game, and it hasn't really been suppressed in my best, at least for that kind of genre.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think even Larian said themselves, like, now they poured so much blood, sweat, and tears into Baldur's Gate 3 that they're not even going to move on to a Baldur's Gate 4. They've like said they've got a new project, new IP. They're moving on. Like said they might return to it, but it's not on the cards for now. I think they just need that breakaway because it took so much effort to get there.
Yeah.
And you can't blame them because the development cycles are so intense, and that game has so much like narrative options and splintered paths, and
Well, this is the thing. I know full well I've missed massive chunks of the game just because of the decisions I've taken, for right or wrong. So there's like definite replayability in there.
You a save scummer? Are you someone where you make a decision and go, I should have picked the other choice? Do you ever go back to an older save to bypass your decision, or do you commit to the one true storyline? So apparently we're a big enough show for sponsorship now, guys, so check out this ad.
If you like video games, then you can't miss Call Me By Your Game. It's a podcast hosted by me, Sweetie Pie, Connor McCabe, where I invite a guest to share about a special video game from a memorable moment in their life. That's right, it's baked in nostalgia. Was Persona 5 a warm blanket during the pandemic? Did Mario Kart 64 feel like a vacation? Or does Spyro remind you of that winter break with Dad? These are the types of stories told on the podcast. So call me Tetris, Half-Life, or StarCraft 2, it's up to you. Find the show wherever you get your podcasts, and get ready to call me by your game.
It depends on the circumstances. There's sometimes I will. So if I'm about to like enter what I think could be like say I'm going down a quest route, and a really bad dice roll could like turn everyone against me and like lock me out of a good hours of content.
Yeah.
And like, if I know that's coming, I'll save in advance because like I want to like kind of play out the story in a semi-satisfying way.
Mm-hmm.
So I do that a bit, but when it comes to like dice rolls and like just run of the mill stuff, I'm kind of like a bit, if I need to do something like the harder way, then that's fine. But yeah, I have to admit I do save scum to a degree because it's like
You have to, right?
Yeah, it's like for as much as like the game splinters off and does a really good job of like accommodating you, like I know I'm missing good stuff in some occasions, and I can't abide by that.
You got to do it. You got to do it. We've all been there. We've all done it. Speaking of being there and done it, that's what I've been doing this week. I went back to Uncharted, so I knew I wanted to go back for some time. I played Golden Abyss about it was over a year ago now on the PlayStation Vita, and I played it with the Vita TV, so I could have it adapted to capture on stream, and that was one hell of a fuck on to get that thing set up with. Like, I had to use a DualShock 4, and it tried to, in a lot of plugins from a PC, where it tried to mirror the Vita, so it had the touchscreen on the front, which became the touchpad on the DualShock 4. It didn't have the back touchpad, so what you had to do was hold in R3 and L3 sticks and manipulate the touchpad to get it to work. And it was like, and then it had a gyroscope feature in the Vita, and it also had a camera on the back. So you had to kind of like use these plugins to like basically trick puzzles in the game to thinking you're using a Vita. But yeah, I managed. It screwed me over on loads of fight scenes and prompts where like instead of like the guy would try and hit you with a sword, and you would have to swipe the touchscreen on the Vita to like block it or roll out the way. Doesn't quite work on a controller, so I had to kind of like tweak that. But I did that because it was in chronological order, and I knew I wanted to get back to Uncharted eventually. So with Richie being away, I thought, right, I need a time to jump in. He's playing Pokemon Blue. I'm going back to this one to do it. And I've got two streams up now. One stream's up for our members only, exclusive. So if you wanted a week early, part 2 is up now. Just going back to it. That game's nearly 18 years old now.
Yeah. And so which one are you on now? Then?
Just technically the very first. So Golden Abyss was chronologically the first, but this is the first full Naughty Dog release from the PlayStation 3 days.
got you.
OG Uncharted. First time we meet Elena, first time we meet Sully, and all the like hunt for El Dorado ensues, and it's
what's like the big set piece? Is the big set piece like the crumbling bridge in that?
There's crumbling bridges, It's basically there's the Nazi U-boat that they find, and then there's the twist where it goes from being Indiana Jones to all of a sudden there's like a supernatural vibe that I didn't
like the big bear
expect. I didn't expect. No, that's 2. You're thinking of the second one. This one's the spoilers, I guess, for anyone who's not played an 18-year-old game. But it's the zombie Nazis. It's when you go through the German U-boat area, and then all of a sudden you find the remnants of like this El Dorado statue, but it turns out the gold, it's cursed gold, and everyone who was in this kind of Spanish city in the middle of the South America, they've all basically died in one go, and you find the remnants of the Nazi crew, you find the remnants of the what was El Dorado, which turns out to just be a cursed idol of gold. And it's fun.
Is that the one where you get like the old style German Nazi machine gun?
Yeah, it's a Nazi machine gun. There's the bit that I played last night, which was the worst part of the game, is the ski boat going upriver, and you've got the rocket launcher, and there's barrels coming down. There's men stood in the ruins to the side of you, and it was just like, this gameplay isn't as fun as it probably was back in 2007.
It really stepped up in number 2. Didn't it?
Absolutely, it elevated, and it only took them Naughty Dog a year turnaround time for 1 to 2, so it's like it's baffling at how quick they do it. It's interesting going back. It's like the story and the characters are still great, and that's why it holds up. But yeah, the gameplay, there's, I'd say, almost like too much combat, and I think it's Naughty Dog making an adventure game, and like it's very much a classic that generation video game where there has to be lots of shooting mechanics. But then you can see the kind of the tropes that are in there, like the characters are fantastic, the voice acting's brilliant, the initial stories really intrigue and set up, and I can't wait to get to number 2. But this is the one that there's a few times throughout the stream I said it holds up, but if they were to remake it, I'd like them to do a Resident Evil, take a few liberties and expand certain bits of the story, maybe tweak it so it's a bit more believable. There's like a few times when he'll go into a castle tower and he'll go, Sir Francis Drake's like telescope, and it's like, why would it be left out just on a table after 300-400 years? Like, come on, you're telling me it's not been like, it's not a decayed, a pigeons came in and knocked it on the floor and it's smashed, or it's rusty. It's just perfectly preserved on a table in a watchtower, and it's like they could tweak the writing to make it, at least the story unravel a bit more grounded, I guess. Because
they did that really well in number 4. I guess like it's probably like an old hat thing for like whenever a movie set in New York, but like there's a segment in number 4 which is in Scotland, isn't there?
Yeah, it's great.
And like they did like a really good job of making it quite nondescript, and it's some level of like not believable. That's not the right word, but like, I could suspend my disbelief.
Yeah.
Whereas in like the first one, I was like, okay, this is like pulling me out a bit. But no, they got a lot better that as it done, I think.
I mean, it's Naughty Dog honing its craft, and it's. I was talking to some colleagues at work this week, and I always say like Crash Bandicoot's like my starting point for video games, and then it's just ironic how like my favorite franchise of all time and my favorite developer of all time is Naughty Dog. So it's like, even though they've changed so much from the Crash Bandicoot days, the way they've kind of gone up through Jak and Daxter into Uncharted, and then we know what the masterpiece that is The Last of Us. So like how they've evolved, and seeing it back even like 18 years ago, you can see the evolution from the Crash games and just like the atmosphere and the environments and the music, but then how they introduce character and story, and how this medium's elevated over the, like, as we've grew up, it's gone from just being a typical video game to such like compelling story and action, and the genre like you're playing Baldur's Gate compared to Uncharted, like they're so similar but they're wildly different at the same time. And that's the message I was trying to get across when people think about gamers being nerds in their mum's basement at 4 a.m, playing whatever. You think, well, actually, there's so much more to them, and I think, the Uncharted series is one of them for me, where it's just a standout. It's in an Indiana Jones movie for all intents and purpose, and it's a absolute blast to have. So I'll play through them all eventually at some point. One, I don't actually think one's even that long. It's weird when you go back to, I guess, retro games now, and you can probably wrap up the first game in, I reckon, about sub 16 hours, 6 hours, sorry. Especially if you're not as familiar as I am to go back. Whereas, now if your game's not 50 plus hours long, it's not value for money.
Oh, there's not enough content,
There's not enough going on. So, I'm looking forward to it. I'm kind of still baffled that we haven't got any news on a new one yet. It's been nearly 10 years since Uncharted 4. Which is like, but then it takes like 5-6 years to make a AAA game now. So,
that's the thing. Like the product, like it's interesting because like when you say you can use Naughty Dog as like a way to track how the medium's developed, right? Like just the entire gaming medium, and it's like like every single iteration is like a bit longer than the last one. Whereas like they were churning out Crash games, like
it's like every other year, if that. But you're right. I mean, if you look at the PS3 generation, they got Uncharted 1, 2, 3, and The Last of Us out. PS5, they haven't put anything out yet. Just Last of Us 2 remakes. Which is like, and the PS5 came out in 2020? So we're half a decade in, we've seen nothing, like nothing new. And we know Intergalactic's coming next year, perhaps, if it hits its date. But nothing. So 4 games to zero as it stands halfway through. So it's baffling how much it's wildly changed. And in a way, as gamers, we aren't getting enough. I mean, not getting enough. We're not getting as much as we once were. But the quality is undoubtedly there, and I'm sure we'll get into it with the news this week, Rob. But we can't get into all that until you introduce us to the
graciously gathered GamerGuild Gazette, aka the news.
The news. And as always, the news is brought to you by our wonderful guild heroes, the fantastic members of the channel who support us that extra little bit further, just like you can, from as little as 99 pence. You get early access to stickers, badges next to your name in the live chat, but more importantly, content. You get this show early, up to 2-3 days, depending on what day we actually sit down and record over the weekend, and early access to our playthroughs, such as Richie's Pokemon Blue streams and my current Uncharted streams, and anything in the future that we deem necessary. So shout out to all you wonderful folks, and the people who've just joined us recently as well, because we did have a few new members recently. Sorry we missed you. I think we found out, Rob, we were like 4 or 5 weeks in, and we realised we had like 2 new members, and we haven't acknowledged them at all, so hopefully they do stick around and understand that we're not that great at this podcast and things still, after nearly 6 years. But as I allude to in the news, we've got a couple of stories, a lot of kind of game updates this week to talk about, and I guess we'll start with the biggest news of the week, which is EA finally got around to revealing Battlefield 6. They shared the full debut reveal trailer early on this week with a multiplayer gameplay trailer coming at the end of the month, so later on next week, on the 31st of July, we're going to see a bit more. They didn't really go into the detail of it. EA haven't really put much out other than they said like lock and load for the ultimate all-out warfare experience, fight in highly intense infantry combat zones, rip through the skies in aerial dogfights, demolish your environment for a strategic advantage in a war of tanks, fighter jets and massive combat arsenals. Your squad is the deadliest weapon. This is Battlefield 6. And then they obviously put out a lovely glossy trailer for it. It's been a while. It's been several years since we had Battlefield 2042, which we know didn't perform as well as I think EA were expecting. I was one who was really excited for Battlefield 2042, and then they announced probably about a year out from launch that they were going to ditch the campaign, and after that point it totally fell off a cliff for me, where I don't see the value in paying £70 for a game that doesn't even come with a campaign. Like, why would I? I'll just go play Warzone. If I'm looking for a war style shooter, there's a free game in Warzone sat right there that's arguably got more polish, bigger player base. It's free, and as much as I'm not in the mood necessarily all the time for a war shooter, it does beg the question like how EA even thought they could have got away with a price title in that environment. So they're back. It seemingly does have a campaign. It seemingly has its full multiplayer reveal coming later this week. The trailer did look gorgeous, I won't deny that. It did look like your atypical war trailer. Lots of squads, lots of explosions, fires, buildings falling down. It looked great. But where are you at with the Battlefield one? What's the last game you played? You got good memories of Bad Company, Bad Heroes, whatever it was called.
Bad Company, yeah. So like, I played number 3. I played number 4 like massively. I played
good games, right? Like it's a great franchise. Fantastic.
I always prefer like this. We're talking like back in like when these two like titles were like kind of competing with like the Call of Duty franchise, and
released within like a week of each other as well.
Yeah, and like I always preferred Battlefield because of like the vehicle combat and because like you could kind of like set your squad up a bit differently and stuff like that. So I was a huge Battlefield 3 and 4 player. The World War One as well. As much as I kind of like that got some criticism, I liked that too. 2042 just destroyed any graces I had for the franchise, I guess. But I'm gonna like, because the campaign looks to be a bigger part of this, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to see what kind of
I'm open to it.
Comes out of it.
I always have that kind of like the underdog vibe where it's EA, so they've got like a shit ton of money. And we know it's going to look gorgeous, but it's like, because they are the underdog, I kind of always want to see them do well, because it's like, you're never going to beat Call of Duty. Like, some insane shift in the industry would have to happen for them to catch or let alone beat Call of Duty in terms of just sheer numbers. But I think the one thing they need to do, and a lot of the comments, if you look on social media, are kind of leaning towards this, and I think EA could have a really smart card on their hands to play. It's like, don't go down the route of stupid skins, stupid neon colours. Like, keep it grounded. Like, every one of these war games comes out and goes, we did all of our research. We've got the granular detail of the sound of when you reload each unique item, and the tanks have been photo scanned for realism, and all this amazing stuff to do to like honor warfare, which is a horrible thing in real life. But we're all human. We love killing shit and blowing shit up. But when it comes to it, and then they go, oh, season pass, you can dress like a rabbit, and it's like. You're taking away from the fundamental core basis of what this game's about, and it's horrible, brutal, gritty, grounded warfare. And the trailer doesn't show any of that. But yeah, all the comments, if you look through, the people saying like, no absurd skins, no maniac moves like fucking wall running and stuff like that. It's like, that's not what human beings are like. They can't just like jump 20 foot in the air. No robotic Kojima style Metal Gear assistant stuff. Just keep it tanks, large scale warfare. Because my biggest pin that I always put on Battlefield, which is great, and the Star Wars Battlefront games benefit from this, is that scale warfare where it's like 100 people on a map and it goes in phases where like your team can push into the next phase of the area, and it opens up a new zone for you to push into. So you are fighting across a literal battlefield rather than a map, which I think a lot of people are familiar with. But yeah, I think it has a lot of goodwill. It just, they could slip on that banana peel so quickly if they go down that route again for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think like, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but like Hell Let Loose.
Yeah.
But like that's got really low player base, really good grace, and that's like went down the realistic.
Yep.
Almost to a really harsh point, because you spend 5 minutes walking around a field and you just die suddenly from like someone.
Yeah.
But like that, that proves there is like a market out there for like the more like grounded.
Yeah.
Still a bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like spectacle, but still like grounded in reality. And I think that's like, if they go down that route, I can see them doing well. It's kind of interesting, like. Once this one comes out, if they decide they want another go at like a future setting Battlefield, they can't really do 2042 anymore, because that's like not that far away, and it'll be closer by the time it comes out, right?
It's that like, did they pick a year based on like, does it just sound good? Like, does it roll off the tongue? Like 2042, like Cyberpunk 2077, like. Did they go back and forth with like a wall of like post-it notes with every year on and go like Cyberpunk 2064? No. Cyberpunk 20, and like, did they narrow it down to 2077? And did Battlefield sit there with 42?
Am I getting this completely wrong? But was there not the actual 2042 that came out recently? Wasn't it like a remake? I want to say it was.
What, Battlefield?
Yeah, because I'm positive there was an earlier 2042 came out. I
mean, we're at that reality where give it another 20 years and we're going to be coming up on like the 100-year anniversary of actual world wars. Like,
yeah, right.
Which it's like, does it go full circle, and do they just go back? Because like you said, Battlefield 1, I absolutely adored Battlefield 1 with its little vignettes told in World War 1, and you had those little short stories, and then they ditched the campaign for the next one. So they can do anything with it, but it's interesting with warfare, isn't it? Because it's always going on, and it's that sad irony, I guess, that we've gone through like the whole Chernobyl stuff, we've gone through World War 1 and 2 several times, and like in our lifetime we're going to get games that are going to be talking about like the Iraq War massively, and then now no doubt the Ukraine War stuff, and there's going to be games made of it. Yeah, it's such an odd topic where you are literally basing your content on the death of thousands, millions of people.
Yeah,
and yet we lap it up, and it's some of the biggest sells of the year. And I think, as long as they don't go, I think, toe-to-toe with Call of Duty, and they're clever with it. Again, the thing with the studios with EA, it's a good combination of, I think, EA, DICE, Criterion, Motive, all kind of like mixing the pot together. So I always think like the vehicles are always so good because they're bringing the team who do like Need for Speed and such. The graphics are so good because they're bringing the team from like the Battlefront team especially. But yeah, just the experts on this, like the Titanfall guys and stuff. So I think they have something. It's we'll just wait to see what more exactly it is. Because similar to Call of Duty, I played Call of Duty Black Ops 6 last year when it was on Game Pass, and I really enjoyed it. And then we're getting a Black Ops 7 this year, so this is the first time Call of Duty's ever gone sequential. We've not pivoted to Modern Warfare, we've not gone off on an Advanced Warfare. It is literally Black Ops 6 last year, Black Ops 7 this year, which is like unheard of. So I'm really curious to see how the story continues and how the momentum follows with Call of Duty. And there's always the chance that now they're under Microsoft's tutelage, it just shits the bed and all falls apart internally somehow.
Somehow. Very, very possibly. Yeah.
Remember, Hogwarts Legacy pipped Call of Duty to the top-selling game for the first time in a decade, and the only one prior to that did it was GTA 5. So Call of Duty's had the run of the green for a decade at a time, except for Harry Potter and Grand Theft Auto, and we know what's coming on next year, so it'd be an interesting one to see. But yeah, we'll keep our eyes on it. Do let us know in the comments below if you'll be interested in Battlefield 6, if it should be 6, if it should be named something different, and what you're expecting from the game in general.
I do want to post a quite very, very brief correction there. 2142 was the old game.
21.
So there's
That's
Battlefield 2142. Yeah. No, okay, yeah.
So you got another 100 plus years till we get to that. We'll all be long gone. Yeah, we'll just be Rob will be one of them NPCs. The current version of you and me will be still on YouTube in 100 plus years. No one will be watching, but you'll leave you and me in this state complaining about Richie's teeth and hair in Turkey.
It might be a head in a jar or something.
We could be, yeah. We could be watching. We could be a head in a jar, just like in Star Wars Outlaws, which I believe there is a character who literally is a head in a jar, and you help him escape from a prison within the game.
What a good transition that was.
Just perfectly set up. My brain, as soon as you said head in a jar, and I'm looking at the Star Wars article, it was like, oh shit, there's an actual mission. He's a bit of a dick to you, actually, as well. When you're helping him escape, and he complains about the pace in which you're unlocking gates for him as you're being shot at and everything. I know, the rudeness. But yeah, speaking of, we'll pivot away to the next story of the week, which is Star Wars Outlaws sequel reportedly cancelled at Ubisoft. So it looks like we're going to get a one-and-done job from the massive entertainment studio under Ubisoft's banner. And Battled Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot recently confirmed on the catastrophic open-world outing, admitted that it failed to meet expectations and blamed the underperformance on the choppy nature of the Star Wars brand overall. Which, again, I think is just... I'll wait. It's Ubisoft just squandering. It was likely that it was in very early production at Swedish studio Massive Entertainment, and it does make sense considering the weak sales of the original, but for those who've came around to Star Wars Outlaws since, have said it's been improved, updated, and undoubtedly will not disappoint reviews. It's one of them where I played it, I got the Platinum Trophy in it, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I did think... Taking away the spectacle of the Jedi Survivor games, Fallen Order, like they are phenomenal unto themselves. In terms of what Ubisoft could have done with this, I think they did a great job. It felt very much like I was in the Star Wars world. The planets look gorgeous. I mean, Ubisoft always do like environments phenomenally well. A lot of the NPC stuff did look a bit rough, which I think is Ubisoft's downfall in a lot of their games. Is a lot of the character involvements and the conversations always looks a bit subpar, and you've got to think their energy clearly goes into the open world rather than the character. However, music outstanding, the menu layouts, the weapon upgrades, and the fact that I didn't have to be a Jedi was really refreshing for me. I think I put about probably 65 plus hours in, and I thought the characters, some of them were quite compelling. The storyline was fun. There were some poor bits, as you get in every 60-hour-long game, where a lot of like fetch quests and go here to find the secret just to get some skill points kind of thing. But overall, the game was received poorly, probably because of a lot of things. Do you think it's down to the Star Wars brand being choppy? Or do you think it's more Ubisoft and a couple of other traits that have came into play?
So, I mean, like two frames in mind. So, like, where do I start? Like, Ubisoft aren't the best. We could all agree Ubisoft have made some, like, really...
They're on a downwards trend.
Yeah, and they get like a lot. So I think, did they phone in big chunks of this game and hope that the franchise would carry it? Like, to a degree, yes. I think I'd say so. And like, you know, it's a kind of what you expect from Ubisoft, to the point where, like, you know, it's easy to kind of shit on them, and I think people just like to do that anyway. But also, I think like it released at a time when like people were really putting the boot into Star Wars for like. Now, like I'm not going to defend like a lot of the TV shows and I guess like content they've put out. Like I can't remember what that was it called, Acolyte or something.
Yeah, the Acolyte, which I quite enjoyed actually.
Did you?
I didn't mind it. I'm more irritated that it didn't get a sequel to wrap up on some of the story threads it left open. Like, it could have had some improvements. They did make some dodgy decisions. But ultimately, it was the story that's been hanging there since the prequels of Plagueis that I was like, oh, come on, like, I just need to know what the fuck this guy did and what he's up to. Yeah. And then for it to be like, oh, yeah, you're never going to find out. It's like, great. Great.
Yeah, I think for me, like I was kind of like I got put off by supposed to be high, like, and it just didn't feel like it. So like I didn't enjoy that, but then I think a lot of like, and I don't like to call like gamers like toxic in certain circles, but I think this did fall victim to a lot of justified hate. So, you know, like it's Ubisoft, so people are gonna shit on it because it's Ubisoft, and like, you know. They make kind of like above average games for the most part. They don't make spectacular games. I also think that the Star Wars kind of identity Disney politic thing was at like its peak. So putting like a woman as the main character and I can't do it. It's like not a, like she doesn't basically have her tits out all the time type of like woman character.
Yeah. She's not highly sexualized.
No, yeah, and I think that was just like a light to like a bunch of like hateful moths. So like, you know, if you wanted to make a game that was like easy for those types of people to hate, like they had all the ammo they needed to do to kind of crap on it before it even had a chance to do well. Yeah. And like some people might think that's unfair, but like it's generally what I saw when people were commenting about it.
Yeah, it was definitely commentary that it's weird, isn't it, how the internet works? So you can, if you get a little bit of groundswell, people hear one or two comments, and then it does have that odd knock-on effect where people avoid it like the plague. You kind of you've seen it now with I don't know if you've noticed it with like Pedro Pascal, where because he's in a lot of things, he seems to be he's on the cusp of this like negative spin. Well, because he's been in so much, especially like highly pop cultural stuff, he's on a lot of press tours, he's on a lot of YouTube content, there's a lot of short content getting put out. You can't really scroll probably for more than 10 minutes. If you follow like a lot of nerdy channels like we do, you can't really scroll for more than a couple of reels or whatever you watch and TikToks where you're not hit with some kind of Pedro content over the last year, whether it's The Mandalorian, it's The Last of Us, it's now Fantastic Four, it's his other two movies he's got out. And I've noticed now there's like a almost like a twist where the winds are changing, and it's like it's not his fault, but the internet's made its mind up that it's like, oh no, we want out with this guy now. It's like you're not the flavour of the month anymore. And I think with Ubisoft and Outlaws, kind of a similar thing to what happened with the Solo movie. The winds changed a little bit with the brand. The winds at the moment with Ubisoft are absolutely down in the dumps still. Even though I think Assassin's Creed Shadows I think sold 5.5 million, which is in line with predictions. And if I recall, Outlaws sold 1 million in its launch window. Don't know how it performed afterwards, but then you compare that to something like Expedition 33, which sold 3.3 million in a month. Which is like, and that's a game like with literally no financial power behind it on the scale of Ubisoft, and out of nowhere it got that internet swell, which just allowed it to do well, and like word of mouth or positive praise. It's so weird and fickle how it works, but I can't say I'm surprised.
No, I think they're trying to cut the losses on it. But like, do you get the impression that like I feel like when the internet was like, I'm gonna make it seem like a fucking boomer talking like the good old days, but like I feel like the internet's like a perfect receptacle for people to share their opinions online.
Yep.
But now people are more going to the internet to be told what their opinion is.
Yeah.
And it's like, so like if you have like kind of 2 or 3 big influencers or whatever saying this game's garbage, you know, fuck these guys, then that just becomes like the...
Yeah, I mean,
right?
we spoke about it just before we went online actually, but Jurassic Park Rebirth, I think it's on track to just pass $1 billion in overall revenue. I listened to a few reviews from the usual people that I listen to online, and they absolutely hated it. And yet, I went with my brother this week. Our friend Andy went as well, I think, this week. And we were talking about behind the scenes, and we both really enjoyed it. And it was like, so, I love the franchise. I'm on the internet, but I guess I'm not of that influential bracket where I listen to reviews and make my assumption up before I've even gone. I was like, no, I like it. I want to go see it. Just like if another Star Wars movie came out, I'd go and watch it, and I'd go, like, regardless of everything that came before it, I'd still go and be in for a good time and maybe set my expectations lower. But just like Outlaws, I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm a Ubisoft fan. I played it and I enjoyed it. Would I play a sequel? Absolutely. Is it going to get one? Unfortunately not. So I think the one thing they can do is just support it with extra content. And I think that's maybe what Outlaws could become for Ubisoft, of just, they've put out DLC with like Lando Calrissian and stuff, and maybe just try and cater it so when there's a drop of Star Wars content on Disney Plus or in the general pop culture sphere, when the Mandalorian movie comes out, just drop some like Mandalorian themed content or a new bit of DLC, and maybe yes, cut your losses on a sequel. But that doesn't mean this game can't have legs during like Black Friday sales or Star Wars, because you've got to imagine sales of like Jedi Fallen Order and everything spike every time there's a Star Wars IP gets a release. So this could just be the same thing for Ubisoft, just a slow trickle, an evergreen dip of content. And that's what brings us on to our next Ubisoft story of the week, which is Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. Similar thing, big movie franchise IP attached to it, did poor at launch. However, they're back, Rob, and to my grateful gratitude, it's getting a third-person mode with a free update ahead of the new film. And I think this is the key thing, is it called Fire and Ash, the new movie? I think it's set for this December. This free update is going to drop on the 5th of December, which adds new Game Plus mode, a bunch of free updates, patches and bugs, and a third-person mode, which, honestly, that's what I wanted from the beginning. My biggest bugbear with this Avatar game is it looks gorgeous. I enjoy the Avatar movies. And then they announced it was first-person. And, like, you'll know, and Richie knows.
You can't see you're a Navi or whatever, right? Like...
So everything's a little bit bigger, smaller to you, because you are such a large character. But it's that typical, like, in these worlds, and back to, I guess, Uncharted at the start of the show, I love third-person action games because I can see my character living in this world. Mm-hmm. I get why it works so well for things like Call of Duty and stuff, like random grunt soldier. You don't really need to know or care that much. Like, get back to the retro days when you didn't even have voices for your main protagonist. They were just a quiet nod or a grunt, and that would be it. Mm-hmm. But then we're in such a character-rich and such a visually stunning world now, and the Avatar game looked absolutely beautiful. And the movies look stunning. They are some of the most beautifully stunning, high-fidelity things that have ever existed in the history of entertainment. So yeah, for them to drop a third-person update, this for me, because I haven't played this game past the first look, because it just didn't click with me. Mm-hmm. But if I go see the movie this December, and other people go see the movie this December, and this game's now been out for nearly 2 years, and it's got this brand new third-person update, which makes it maybe more in line with what people expect, like a Horizon game or an Uncharted game or a Assassin's Creed style game. For me, that's ticking all the boxes. Where I am 100% back in for this game. I'll just do a new game file right from the beginning, jog my memory, because honestly I can't really remember what the hell happens in the first couple of hours. And yeah, go and enjoy it. The trailer they put out, you can see yourself riding the Banshees and stuff. Like that type of stuff.
Why would you not want to see that?
Yeah, you want to see that. And obviously you lose some stuff, like I guess your accuracy when you're not in first-person mode with your weapons and your bow and arrow. But ultimately, I'm there for a third-person mode, absolutely. What about you, Rob? Avatar? Enjoy the movies, hate the movies, games?
I'm completely indifferent about the movies, I'm going to be honest. Like, I liked the first one, but I didn't think I just thought it was a good movie. Like, kind of...
Yeah, it wasn't as groundbreaking as the box office will make you believe.
But, yeah, exactly that.
But I enjoyed it, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. This release completely passed me by. Like, I saw the news come out about it, but just didn't.
It did a lot of people. It was one of those Ubisoft problems where they launched it in and amongst some massive releases, and it just got dropped down. But it was quite a while ago. Remember, this was expected to come to Google Stadia. That's how long ago this was in the pipeline. Then it got delayed a year. It missed the launch window of the movie, which I think was its biggest downfall. The movie came out in December 2022, and this didn't come out until I think the following year. So it missed its absolute landing spot. Like, if you're in a parachute dropping down into Pandora, you missed that big red cross on the floor by a good couple of miles, because I think all the great groundswell from the movie, because ultimately the sequel movie did the numbers again. Everyone was like, is it going to do bad? Why is James Cameron making 4 of them? Is he overcommitting to a franchise that no one really cares about? And then proved everyone wrong, and it did huge numbers at the box office again, and I'm sure the Fire and Ash movie will equally do the same. So hopefully this will come at the right time for Ubisoft.
Yeah, I think the right time is it's the difference between this and Star Wars Outlaws, right? So if this game gets the boost it wants because off the back of the movie, then it unlocks the door for more content, even if the game isn't a 10 out of 10 on release, right? Which we can all agree, this wasn't. No. But it gets the opportunity to expand content wise and become a good game in much the same way Cyberpunk did, right?
Yeah.
If you imagine the initial release of Cyberpunk in the hands of a Ubisoft, it would have been killed and not came back. Mm-hmm. But a good movie release can give those types of games the opportunity to like develop and be better. And I think if Star Wars Outlaws had came out just after like Andor 2 had released, Andor Season 2, like the goodwill, it could have been like the story we talked about earlier could have been getting like this, getting this and this and this, and like Heat Hard number 2 is going to be better. And that's never going to happen now, right?
Yeah, they've missed the boat with that, but I think that's an absolutely clear observation, Rob. I think I don't know if you were paying attention to the news around then, but players on Star Wars Battlefront 2 on Steam, they did something called what was the name of it? They did like a whole day. Basically, the fan base got together and did a Star Wars day, and it came off the back of Andor Season 2. Then they had Star Wars Celebration, I think, where they announced a couple of things at the theme park and whatnot. And then they had Star Wars Day, like May the 4th. And they did this dedicated day. And on Steam, it peaked at its numbers and it beat all its records before when the game initially at launch. Yeah. And as you said, that could have been Outlaws. But then it also goes back to what you were saying about protagonists and characters. Does Battlefront 2, even though it's been out for like 8+ years now, does that have the pull of, it's got the Jedi, it's got the Sith, it's got the pull of Star Wars ultimately attached to it? And I think its launch peak was around like the couple of thousand, but when they did this Star Wars day, it ended up passing like 35k in 24 hours, and it absolutely smashed it out of the park. And even as of right now, its 24-hour peak as it stands is over 9k. Bear in mind, this game came out in 2017, 16, I think, around then. So it just shows you the hunger for a Star Wars game is there, just not Outlaws for some reason. But I think between Avatar and Outlaws, which one do you think sold more for Ubisoft?
It must be Outlaws, right?
I mean, again, this is where like the Avatar movies make on par, if not more, than Star Wars movies at the box office. But then in my mind, I'm like, I don't think anyone gives a shit about Avatar. Like, they'll go watch them, but I don't think people have the reverence for them. Like, no one's out there buying Avatar action figures like they are Star Wars action figures.
Yeah, I don't think it's become like part of pop culture.
Yeah. But I mean, people wanted to, clearly. But and you've got to remember, the harshest, unfortunate thing for Ubisoft in all of these is they lose a cut of their money to Disney on all fronts, probably around about the 25 to 30% mark. We know Marvel's Spider-Man and Insomniac give 30%. So not only is this not selling well, Avatar and Star Wars Outlaws hasn't sold well, but Ubisoft also lose probably around about 30% of that cut to another company, and then you've got your overheads, and then you've got to start up your next game's development cycle. And we alluded to at the start with Naughty Dog and Uncharted, just like time frames and money, and it's no wonder there's layoffs left, right, and centre in this industry now, because they have to streamline because they've ballooned so much. It's no surprise. Thankfully, though, Rob, Ubisoft will always have the break glass in case of emergency Assassin's Creed. And that brings us on to the next one of the week, which is Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's doing quite well, as I mentioned. It's sold over 5.5 million units today. It's no surprise. It's Assassin's Creed. It's in feudal Japan. There's a hunger for Japanese content, and especially right now. But yes, they announced this week that they've got some big updates coming, including a new Game Plus mode, a level cap update that's going to arrive later this week, character skins, equipment, knowledge rank, hideout progression, all the usual stuff you'll see. And they're also bringing an expansion, which is going to drop later on this year, which is called the Claws of Awaji, which is going to have a new region to explore, new weapons abilities, new outfits, new legendary gear, enemy factions, bosses, and a new chapter of the story. So, typical Ubisoft, in amongst all the free quality of life improvements, they're bringing a new Game Plus, a couple level increases, and a full new expansion coming September 16th. So, you played Ghost of Tsushima, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I love Ghost of Tsushima.
Where were you sitting on Assassin's Creed Shadows? Because I think you, like Richie, I think you're a lapsed Assassin's Creed fan, I would say.
Yeah, definitely lapsed. Like, I kind of followed the launch, and I didn't see anything that could pull me back into the universe, I guess. But based on what I've followed, like, people are calling it the best Assassin's Creed in recent memory. Do you think that's like a fair summation?
I think it depends on your taste, because since the reboot, you got Origins, Ancient Egypt, Odyssey, Ancient Greece, Valhalla, Ancient Britain, and now Shadows, Ancient Japan. I think it honestly depends on just where your preference for mythology and history comes from. Because one of my favorites is hands down is Origins, and I think that's because we grew up like when we were in primary school, like ancient Egypt was like your go-to focus point. And I love the mummy movies. I just think there's something about ancient Egypt which just appeals to me more, like the setting, the sand, the desert, the pyramids. Like Greece and stuff, yeah, they've got their temples and whatnot, but I think there's just something about Egypt which it surpasses them all in terms of like age, and we still don't know anything about it. So mix that with the anime stuff, and then don't get me wrong, in these reboots they leaned heavily into the mythology and the folklore side of things. So Origins, what always stands out for me in the DLC, fighting Anubis warriors in the afterlife and walking through the reeds and everything was like plated in gold and white, and giant scorpions were there. That absolutely did it for me to like elevate the game beyond like just being your typical Assassin's Creed, which is quite grounded for all intents and purposes into like, holy shit, what kind of game am I playing right now?
Yeah.
And then Odyssey and subsequently did it with like Minotaurs and stuff like that in Greece.
Yeah. The interesting thing is like I'm more into like ancient Greece as like history. So like I'm like the flip of you when it comes to Odyssey and Origins. Just because like if I'm in a museum, when I go to like the British Museum, I like the Greek section more than the Egyptian stuff like that. So I think it is 100% what kind of culture you're attached to.
I think like Medusa and stuff like Greek's cool as fuck as well. Like Cassandra was by far the best protagonist we've had in any of these ones. I think if you played as Alexios, you played the wrong choice. And Cassandra, back to what point, was like she's pretty fit as well, so that kind of makes sense why there was a big groundswell there too. Shadows, what it does have going for it, they ditched all the anime stuff. There's barely a mention of future content. It's very much you are in feudal Japan for 99.9% of this game, which if anyone was bugged about that in the past, that's elevated. But yeah, all in all, I got the platinum in Shadows. I enjoyed my time with it. However, my big takeaway is I cannot wait for Ghost of Yotei later this year instead of this, and that's the other big problem. Ubisoft just can't catch a break. They finally launched the Assassin's Creed genre type game that people have been clamoring for decades, and it just happens to come out with the sequel follow-up to the best Japanese style game of all time in Ghost of Tsushima. It's like you couldn't write it.
But then again, it's that thing where it's like Ubisoft can release a good Ubisoft game, but there's other players like elevating like those types of genres and themes, and like that's where like the continuous. Because I think like Odyssey did really well because it's probably like the best kind of Greek mythology, ancient Greece game we've had.
I can't think of anything like really other than maybe Age of Mythology, the Age of Empire spin-off. Like there's really nothing. So
like Rome had been done to death. Obviously, like we had like Rise and like loads of stuff around Rome, but we hadn't had a Greek game, and I think that's why. Same with the Origins as well.
Yeah, and Valhalla sold phenomenally well. Valhalla made Ubisoft over $1 billion. So it's like it's clearly their cash cow, and I think you're totally right in saying like the problem is, and Ubisoft's biggest problem is other people are doing their shit better. And I couldn't help but play Shadows, and the two protagonists were like they were okay. It was fun. It was a fun story, but ultimately, when I look at the trailer for Ghost of Yotei, I know the cutscenes are going to be better, the acting is going to be better, the music's going to be better, the exploration's going to be more refined. It's like I couldn't help but play through it, thinking in 6 months' time, I'm going to be playing a similar game but better on every front, and that voice was in my mind the whole time.
Yeah, it's like I'm missing Jin as well, to be fair.
I mean that's the one risk, because Ghost of Yotei, it's 100 years after Tsushima, so he's not in it, he's long since dead. And my worry is switching your protagonist out. And I get they want to do something unique, and they think they've got a unique story with a different character they can tell, but I love the character of Jin Sakai and his story and that kind of moral dilemma between being the ghost and being a samurai and protecting his country from the Mongol invasion. And then I'm sure I have absolute faith in Sucker Punch. I think they've never, like, their games have been phenomenal since the Sly Cooper days. But yeah, I do sometimes think they risk pivoting and picking a brand new character. I think that's the only thing that they could slip up is that if the audience don't take to this character. But then I look at the rest of the game and think, will that elevate the story because of the world and like the wind traversal and the map and just the reverence they have for ancient Japan, where I think Ubisoft got a lot of shit, remember, for some of their early things they did about like culturally inappropriate stuff in the background of the trailers and the copy and pasted stuff. And whereas Sucker Punch, like everyone in Japan absolutely loves Ghost of Tsushima, and it's made by an American studio. So that, I guess, tells you all you need to know, whereas everyone seemingly wants to shit on Ubisoft. So good for Shadows, more content, and whichever mythology you're into, there is very much an Assassin's Creed for you out there in the wild. Our last Ubisoft story, I promise we'll move on from Ubisoft, but they must have had like an investors call this week or something, because
I know, Jesus.
Everything is just Ubisoft. They're yet to formally announce a new Ghost Recon game, but there is one on the way. They did a shareholder Q&A, and the CEO and the CFO talked openly about the sequel. So they don't want to announce it officially, but in a documented discussion that goes public, because it's on the stock market, it's there. They've received investment recently from Tencent. There's other major brands which were like moved around. They kind of moved a few. I don't know if you remember. They moved a few of their assets into different shell companies. So they plucked out. I think it was Assassin's Creed. I think Rainbow Six, and I feel like there was one other, and went, they're a new company, and they left everything like the Crew and Splinter Cell and stuff in a separate one, which. It's an interesting decision to make when they're all under your banner, unless you're planning to sell this IP off elsewhere. But nothing's happened, nothing's materialised yet. But yeah, in addition to Rainbow Six game, that's no doubt going to keep ticking over. Their objective is to make strong progress in a growing market, generally speaking, by continuing to enhance our current experiences that we offer and capitalising on upcoming launches such as The Division and Ghost Recon. We haven't had a Ghost Recon game since 2019. Which was the one with John Bernthal as the kind of frontman, if you remember it.
Yeah, that's right. Which was Breakpoint or something?
Yeah, Breakpoint. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame because Wildlands, Ghost Recon Wildlands, was received brilliantly.
Yeah,
and
I love Wildlands.
It pivoted to Breakpoint, and it just felt like the Ghost Recon just lost all its momentum, which I don't know how Ubisoft could fumble it. Like. It just makes no sense. Like, the marketing it's pretty much the same game, and there's something I know we're seemingly like dissecting everything about like the inner workings of the market, but the setting of Wildlands, going from like a beautiful, rich, I think it was in Colombia, or a fictional Colombia, where it's like greens and sun-soaked areas, and you're just sneaking around in the grass, to Breakpoint, which was more of like a dark urban kind of warfare kind of setup. And I've said this with Richie about the Far Cry games. You set a Far Cry game like a beautifully colourful thing with like lots of jungle, bits of snow-capped mountains, and it tends to do better than the ones that aren't. And I don't know if just in the gaming consensus, people just like playing in beautiful landscapes more than they do dull ones.
Yeah, I think we're kind of well past the point of like the grey Gears of War aesthetic, which was a product fantastic of its time, but it's kind of moved on. Like I don't know if you played like Breakpoint much.
I played it for probably 10, 15 hours. We did a couple of streams on Stadia. And,
that's right. Yeah.
Again, it was fun, but then, like you said, why would I want to go back to it? Whereas Wildlands, I played for like 50 plus hours.
Yeah, I think with Breakpoint, there was just like a couple of annoying things about it as well. Like, they had like a bunch of new mechanics. Like, wasn't there like, there's like a stamina system or like a rest system or something? And if you were exhausted, then it just made your character a bit shitty or whatever. And like, I didn't like that type of things that they'd added into it. And like every mission kind of felt the same. There wasn't much going on like different. So like the really good graces I had at Wildlands, broken Breakpoint. But like I've played the Ghost Recon since like the first one.
Yeah, they're
Ghost Recon 2. Ghost Recon 2 was fantastic. I played like countless hours in that game. So I would like to see a return of form, definitely.
Yeah, it's like, do people just not like John Bernthal? Was this the start of the Ubisoft trend? Because you remember they also had like Watch Dogs 3 was out in and around then, and they just had a couple of like weak releases, and then we know they've got the Division 3 coming, which I think the Division it's definitely the Ubisoft brand from the Tom Clancy world. That's probably the strongest at this point. So much so that the game Division 2 lived so long, they went back to it and announced a year 5 after they'd wrapped up on the game. That's how well it was doing. Definitely think they missed the boat on that. I think that the time just passed them by and they didn't react quick enough. But I think now they know what they've got with the Division. They're putting all the eggs in that basket. I would like Ghost Recon to return. I think it's a cool premise. I think the squad style, similar to the Division almost. Maybe that's why. Yeah. Maybe the success of the Division pulled away from anyone wanting to play Breakpoint, because they're not too dissimilar. And again, with Ubisoft games all looking the same, maybe people are like, no, I've put my eggs in this basket with the Division. I don't need to go on another 4-squad team shooting people. But who really knows? All we know is Ubisoft need a win. And seemingly they're hoping to get on that one. We do know there's a Splinter Cell game in the works as well, but again, who knows? Hopefully it won't be too expensive though, Rob, because gaming is certainly not cheap at the moment. I was talking to someone this week about the Nintendo Switch 2, saying, telling them, like, they were asking me like how much I've played mine since I got it, and would you recommend getting one for like your kids or yourself? And in all honesty, I think if you're on the fence about one, if you buy it now at launch, it's probably going to be cheaper now than it ever will be, because the way the trends have gone, PS5's gone up in price, Xbox has gone up in price, Switch has gone up in price. You might as well, because the way the world is with inflation, chances are it's going to be 50-60 quid more expensive come Christmas than it might be now. Which is, and if Donald Trump turns around and he's that pissed off about that South Park episode, he might just raise tariffs again on every medium of entertainment, TV shows and games included in that hit. He might just go so hard on Paramount, there's like ripple effects into like Sony, then PlayStation, then Ubisoft, and then before you know it, it's like shit. No one can buy it. Unless the
list gets them first, that's the issue.
Unless the list gets them first, absolutely. But the reason I bring that up is because the Outlaws 2, which is the upcoming sci-fi FPS from Obsidian, which will be their third game of the year released, which is, I don't know how they're doing it. They had Avowed at the start of the year. Outer Worlds 2 comes out at the end of the year, and Grounded 2 comes out this week. So somehow Obsidian, the insomniac of Xbox now, where they're just shitting out games like nobody's business. They announced the purchase price of $80, £80 equivalent. Of course, this is going straight into Game Pass, so there's your incentive there. Just go subscribe and you've got it. But there's a bit of a backlash saying like it's the Outer Worlds 2 isn't I guess held to the same standards for some reason as a traditional AAA game would be. And Xbox doubled down and said, no, this is our commitment to these genres, these type of games. However, there was a bit of an uproar, Rob. The internet took with it and said, I can't believe you're charging $80 for this price point. People were cancelling pre-orders on Steam. The low figures of pre-purchases and pre-orders were low. So clearly Microsoft, Xbox have had to react in some way, and they put out on social media this past week. The statement read, we have received your SOS via Skip Drone about the pricing. Bit of inside joke commentary about the game. As an organisation devoted to making sure that corporations do not go unfettered, we've worked with our Redacted to revise the price of the Outlaws 2. While this will not bring peace to the galaxy, or even your local colony, we assure you that we're here to fight for all colonies in every way we can. It's a bit of like tongue-in-cheek, Helldivers-esque, like real world
and pull like a bit of the tension out the
a little bit, a little bit. But the Outer Worlds 2 not coming out at $80, but it's back down to its, I guess, the industry standard now, which is the $70, right? What's precedence does this set for us backing down? Do you think, Rob? Is that just like now everything has to stay at this price, or?
I'm super surprised they actually backed down. Like, it's not like. It's not Obsidian's decision to make, really, is it? Like, there's like they can't just do that universally. Like, they've had to like kind of discuss it with the partners and Microsoft and stuff. I'm really amazed they actually backed down on it. I think it does mean that the next game that comes in at like £80 is going to get a similar backlash, and then there's going to be like one game that like can't drop in the price, and it's going to get cooked online because of it.
Yeah, at some point they'll have to plant the flag in the ground and say like, no, Nintendo have done it with Mario Kart, and they stuck to their guns and like, no, if you want it digitally it's cheaper, but if you buy it physical it's 80 quid, and everyone's like, what the hell? But they did it at the launch of a new console, so it's almost like that, the expectation of I'm buying into the new tech, so it's more expensive because it's new, and I get that. And I think Nintendo doubled down, they got a backlash, and they stuck to their guns, and that's like their standard now. Whereas, I think Xbox backing down on this, I kind of think that just, it's almost like with a small child, is you tell them no, but then if you let them do it anyway, you're kind of undermining your own principles of it. So
yeah, because then like in like 6 months' time, like when a game is $80 again, like what? Oh, £80, sorry, whatever. Like what's changed?
yeah,
Like
the internet's going
And
to
they have
spit
to
its
kinda
dummy out
justify it,
again,
right?
complain, and then
Yeah.
Xbox/Microsoft are going to go, oh, we've heard you loud and clear. We'll go back down to 70. And you think their
Yeah.
bottom line, like there's $10 per unit, a big difference. Like that
Terrible,
racks
yeah.
up quick. And I think definitely in the same camp with when Grand Theft Auto comes out next year. That game is 100% going to be $99.99, I think, at launch. And people
Yeah.
will pay it. People like me, idiots, will be like, yep, it's been 10 plus years. I'm there, day one, £100, take my money, Rockstar. And
Yeah.
they're going to sell how many units at £100? Like,
the
that's
thing is,
insane.
I think they're gonna use their legs at GTA Online, and they're gonna say, no, you're also getting like, 10 years of an online game as well. I think
Yeah.
that's the play, and like that kind of works for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, we're gonna see like GTA is gonna be like on the edge of
Yeah.
three figures. I don't think they'll dare break that, but.
Yeah, I think 99.99 or 99.95, and then I do think we've already seen it like the deluxe editions and stuff already go past it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the Ubisoft ones go up to like 120 for the gold ultra. That includes, I guess, which includes a season pass, which is usually about £30-40 anyway. So you're bumping up against a £70, £80 launch, and then a £30-40 DLC season pass thing, and then everything else that comes in between that. So I don't think it's beyond question. I don't like it. As a consumer who buys these things, I don't like it. I was very fortunate with Assassin's Creed Shadows because I was on the fence about, do I get that at launch now? And then Ubisoft gave me a code, so I was like, sweet, I actually don't have to buy it, even though I was there ready to get it. But that saved me £70-80. So there's like little things that I think people are just so much more conscious of. But then Microsoft have that issue with, because of Game Pass. With my business hat on, I think if they just put the price up and up and up, that's just going to funnel more people towards thinking Game Pass is more valuable. So then, if they see a boost in numbers, you've got to imagine this is a reaction because pre-orders were so low. But then I always think the numbers with Microsoft are so skewed now because of Game Pass. You never get a true reflection of how good a launch is anyway. Like Doom Eternal came out and they go like, oh, we had X amount of million players. And it's like, well, it's on PS5 and PC as well. So the numbers are skewed because you're on multiple platforms, even though you're an Xbox game studio. And then Game Pass must take away, you'd imagine, at least a third, if not more of that. So it's such an odd place where we don't really know the true metrics. So how can you judge a game now based on sales? Because you just don't really know. It's a shame Ubisoft don't have that blanket to hide behind.
I know, right?
Like, oh, it's Ubisoft Plus numbers. Like, we've got millions of players on Ubisoft Plus. It's like, no one has Ubisoft Plus. Don't lie to us. We know.
Have you heard of like the kind of like there's like communities like growing online, like and they call themselves like patient gamers, and they kind of dedicated themselves to like playing games generally like 12 months after launch, because the logic being is like they can be up to like half as much.
Oh yeah.
Or like the games now are released in unfinished state, so they get like the patched better version of the game, and they also get like the DLC probably like already included in that.
Yeah.
I've seen like lots more talk about that identity of gamer now.
It's
like interesting because it's getting more popular.
And I guess it's as time passes by, like retro gaming is a similar thing. I saw a BBC article or a news video or something of all things this past week of like there's a massive boom in retro gaming. That's because it said you can go and pick up a console and go pick up games for like £2-3. And like, yes, they're not like modern, but you got to remember that some of these games, like a PlayStation 3 games, I mentioned on chat at the start of the show, that's nearly 20 years old. So if you're able to go pick up a functioning PS3 still, like just one of the old crappy George Foreman ones or the plastic ones, you're probably talking what, 70-80 quid for a PS3 now, if not less, right?
Yeah.
And then if you go on like your CEX or you go on eBay, you could get the first 4 Assassin's Creed games for probably a tenner tops, like for all of them, if you get like the right place. Yeah. And we've said how much reverence there is for that franchise, and yes, it might feel old and clunky, but if you're kind of like not looking for that, you're just looking for fun, the game's still a game. It's going to be fun and hold up, and you're still going to get 20-30 hours, if not more. Like imagine going back and digging out Skyrim for the first time from the 360.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if you go back to like PS4, like either, like they have the same general mechanics that games do now, right? Like like as gaming matures, it advances less each year, right? So,
Yeah,
like,
diminishing returns for a decade plus now, easily.
Yeah, so I think there's like lots of like PS4 titles you could go back to, and like companies like Naughty Dog frequently go back to the like PlayStation 4 titles and just bring them back in. So like, I think the amount of people who are buying full price games release it's getting ed up by kind of subscription services, particularly Game Pass, and there's like this growing amount of people who are looking, in the past for the next game, and like. The amount of games that come out, like, not even like the most dedicated. I think there's only kind of like full-time employed YouTube kind of gaming channels who can actually play everything that comes out now.
Yeah.
So there's always something to play. You don't have to buy stuff at full price on day one.
Yeah. It's as long as you're not bothered about being in the conversation, in the zeitgeist of the moment.
Yeah.
You can really be super paid. We have a few friends in our chat group, don't we, who only play like older games, and sometimes when they're dropping, like, this is what I'm on at the moment, you think, like, God, that's such a good game, but I haven't played it in 15 years, but that doesn't take away from how good of a game it is. And I think you and me are similar. Like, we always go back to, like, Command and Conquer every now and again. Like, when me and Richie went back to Age of Empires when it got the relaunch, it's like, if you took away everything new and said no video games are going to come out for the rest of history, our back catalogues are so rich.
I'd be fine. Like,
I would be absolutely fine. Like, yes, that would mean if there's nothing new coming out, I could go and play Roller Coaster Tycoon for a couple of months and not care about, I'm missing out on this, I'm missing out on that. It wouldn't matter because, I'd be satiated. It wouldn't bother me at all. But tell you who isn't satiated, Rob, Sony, and their deep, deep pockets that dig into Elden Ring's publisher, Bandai Namco, as they've signed a new strategic partnership. Sony have announced this past week they're investing 68 billion yen, which is about $464 million, into the Elden Ring publisher Bandai Namco, and have acquired 2.5% of its overall business. The press release reads, Bandai Namco and Sony have historically collaborated on various projects in fields such as games, anime, and music, and they plan to extend this collaboration to a broader range of areas. The two companies intend to implement initiatives including the expansion of works as products and services based on IP developed, Elden Ring, leveraging Sony's strengths in areas such as production and distribution of anime and other video content. Elden Ring movie, definitely on the way. They also plan to engage in detailed discussion regarding the joint delivery and promotion of IP such as anime and manga, in addition to planning and technical collaboration on experimental entertainment. This is Rob Sony basically doubling down. They invested a couple of million, I think, about a year ago, and this is basically they've gone back to the same well and thought, we want more of that. But when me and Richie broke it down, we did dissect and say their parent company, Kagagawa or something, they own pretty much the majority of like anime and Japanese like comics and stuff, and so actually Sony very much, because they have Crunchyroll now, and I always forget what the other one is, but they basically own the majority alongside Kagagawa in this field of entertainment. And on its surface, it looks like, oh shit, Sony want Elden Ring and FromSoft. And actually, they don't. But yeah, this gives them a big chunk of the company again. I guess it gives them a more influential decision. And we know From Software made Bloodborne for PlayStation. Everyone's clambering for a Bloodborne 2. But as me and Richie always talk about, is From Software just seem to hit smash hit after smash hit after smash hit. And you've got Elden Ring, you've got Night Rain out now, which is probably going to be up for loads of awards. Just added some content this week. They've got Sekiro to go back to. They've got Dark Souls to go back to. They've got Demon Souls to go back to. Hell, they've even got Armored Core on a whim, if they fancy doing yet another entry in the Armored Core series. And you do wonder, like, it must be great being over at From Software and thinking, we put out games that aren't graphically the best, but people absolutely lap them up. Like, Elden Ring is crazy, huge. Right? And obviously Sony want more of that from wherever it is. But smart investment, do you think?
Yeah, well, I was surprised by the price, to be honest.
It seems a lot, doesn't it, for such a small
stake? 464 million for like 2.5%. Like, what the? Like, I know like Bandai Namco's like a big company, but I didn't think it was that big.
It does seem overinflated.
Yeah, but then like I'm looking at their like titles they've got under their like kind of banner, and like there's a lot of stuff in there. Like, let me just. It was 240 billion yen they made in 2020. Which I don't know what the hell it is.
Well, we know from this article 68 billion is about 460. So you'd imagine 70 billion yen's possibly around about the $500 million mark. in dollars.
Jesus. Yeah, so like it's insanely like it's a much bigger company than I give them credit for. So yeah, like it doesn't make like I know like the lead story is like Elden Ring publisher, but there's so much more to that than like the actual Elden. Right?
But it's
like the
it
back
is,
catalog they have.
It is just the money, but then I guess when you think like Microsoft paid $76 billion for Activision, billion.
Yeah, I was going to say there's some like daft like, acquisitions going on, isn't there? So yeah, maybe it's not.
But then on the flip side, $464 million for 2.5%. PlayStation only paid $300 million to acquire the entirety of Insomniac as a studio. So it's like it's literally, I think it's just you flip a coin, see where it lands on the table, and then you roll a dice, and whatever that number is, that's the multiplier for. And I think Microsoft got screwed over on Activision because they paid way over the odds. I don't think any entity or any company is nearly worth $1 trillion. Like what?
I guess they get all like the arcades out of it, like the Metro Center and stuff, don't they?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
like,
you get your little arcades.
2.5% of that.
Is that actually called the Bandai Namco? Metro?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's clearly got its tendrils in a much broader range of areas. And I think the news outlets that we obviously follow, they're going to double down like Elden Ring. They're buying Elden Ring. The next Elden Ring is going to be a Sony exclusive. It's like it's not. They're nowhere near that much yet. They haven't quite turned this into a hostile takeover yet. They only own a small percentage. But
there's going to be a Sony Pictures produced Elden Ring kind of
leaning into
franchise, isn't there?
And then I think what it does do is I know they won't have Elden Ring as exclusive or the sequel or Bloodborne or whatever that ends up being, but having a stake in the company does give you a bit more say on the board of directors and when it comes to that decision making. So if there is like up for argument sake, Elden Ring 2, timed exclusive deal, who gets marketing rights for it? Owning a chunk of the company that's the parent company, it probably gives you a bit of goodwill towards influencing that decision, you would imagine. So,
absolutely.
Another decision that's not gone everyone's way, though, next story of the week, is Dying Light The Beast, which is the standalone game from the Polish developers Techland, has been delayed. Dying Light The Beast may have been the best in the series yet, looking at recent hands-on previews, not results, but it's delayed to I wrote it in the doc, what was it, September the 16th, off the top of my head, I'm scrolling, 19th, I wasn't far off. I think it was due to come in August, so it's only been pushed back a couple of weeks. But yeah, did you ever check out any of the Dying Light games? Because they're ones that like I've always watched, and I've always seen when they've been on offer in sale, and like you said, if you're patient, they've always dropped down to like 15 to £20. I've thought, oh, you know what, it looks like Far Cry but with zombies. And then
so like number one was fantastic. Like I loved number one. Had like the kind of like the parkour elements to it, and like it was a really kind of interesting. I think was it set in South Africa?
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. Really, really good game. Loved the first one. I think I played through it twice actually.
Is the nighttime mechanics right? Is when it turned to night and the whole world just pivoted on its head and the zombies came to life. Yeah,
so it's during the daylight, you can there's like swarms of zombies around, and you like depending on like they're not easy to deal with, but you can kind of play around a bit and you can drop kick them and have a bit of fun. But then like on the night, like the kind of like the stalking, fast moving ones come out, and like you basically just have to run. You can't fight that. So it's like you're the hunter and then become the hunted at night. Number two was I paid full price, day of release. And I hated it completely.
Right.
I got 5 hours in and I just couldn't keep going. Like the protagonist was boring, the plot was boring, and like I abandoned it. But this looks really good, and there's still enough goodwill from the first one to jump into this. Gonna wait for the reviews to come out, obviously. But no, I'm gonna give this a go. See what.
Yeah, well, Techland have said it's a smaller experience, and they have gone back to the protagonist from the original game. So everything you've echoed there is like they clearly heard that message loud and clear and went, right, okay, we'll go back. And he does have something called Beast Mode now as well, which makes it sound like he goes into just absolute rage. And it seems to be there's a bigger focus on taking out like human enemies as well as zombies. So that kind of like Walking Dead trope of like the zombies don't become the main threat.
Yeah, the humans are the monsters.
Yeah, we were the monsters all along. But yeah, so a little bit of a delay, but they've said it's for polish and just like making sure the game's right. And again, any developer that comes out and says like, look, we'd rather get it right than wrong, that's fair. They've claimed it's going to be about 18 hours worth of content with the main campaign, and then typically exploration side stuff. So it is essentially like a large DLC expansion kind of affair. But I think if you were a bit burnt out on 2, this being a standalone refined bit could be really good for the series, just to give it that like little bump of energy.
Yeah, I think so.
Brilliant. All right, just a few quick stories then to round out. Rob, we won't spend too long on these ones. Just a couple of game updates. Plants vs Zombies, the classic iOS game, appears to be ready for return in a leaked PS5 remaster. Plants vs Zombies Replanted has been listed on storefronts, releasing on all platforms, coming October 23rd for around about €20/pounds, depending on your region. I love Plants vs Zombies back in the day. I haven't played it in like 15 odd years, but that was one of the first touchscreen phone games where it was like, oh, this is the shit. Like, I can't believe this was probably 99 pence when you bought the original, and it didn't have any microtransactions, it didn't have any stupid skins. It was just, you bought the game, you owned the game, you played through the game. Just like back when Angry Birds was free. You didn't pay for all this added shit and pop-ups and stuff, but it's getting a remaster. Don't think it probably really looks that bad, to be honest, by today's standards.
I was going to say, remaster's an interesting...
It was all cartoony to begin with, wasn't it? But remember when EA did the Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, and it was just Call of Duty, but you're running around as plants and stuff. So like, and that got a sequel, I'm sure, as well. So there's clearly an appetite for plants fighting zombies. So forget Dying Light. This is where the zombies are at. I don't really want to touch on it much because it was utter shit. The Pokemon Presents was this week where they focused on, they did like this whole like, oh, loads of Pokemon announcements, and I watched it and I thought there's nothing really in here. They did talk about the Pokemon Championships, which is an in-person event, means nothing to me. They did show off the Admin Entertainment, who are the guys who do Waltz and Gromit. They're doing a Pokemon mini-series, which I think the plasticine nature and like the cutesy comedy and humour of Waltz and Gromit and Admin animation, I think lends itself to Pokemon fantastically. They showed a trailer of it's Sirfetch'd and Pichu, so basically it's going to be a Farfetch'd as a knight, and a Pichu is a sidekick going on adventures in Waltz and Gromit style. So I was like, that sounds fantastic. Yeah, it sounds like the best thing to come out of it. Other animation stuff, I think the show is getting an update. They announced a Pokepark theme park attraction in Japan, but it looked shit. It was basically, they're going to have, I mean, it didn't look shit, but they had loads of forested areas where they're going to put like just little ceramic Pokemon in the grass for you to walk around and see. So no rides, no like animated, nothing like that. No like OLED screens that make it look like the Pokemon's like in the room with us. Okay, I guess when it comes to like Universal alongside Mario Land and the Donkey Kong roller coaster, then I'll be listening. But for now, Pokepark in Japan, if you see it. They went into Pokemon Go Fest, which again another in-person event that I'm not going to go to. I don't know where it's at this year. And then they finally got to a few mobile spin-offs, trading card games. They announced a mobile game called Pokemon and Friends, which is just a bunch of like swipey puzzle games. Yeah, and then they finally got back to Pokemon Legends ZA, the new release for later this year. Comes out October 16th. Richie's excited a little bit for it, but for me, I'm still waiting for that. Like, I know I get the Pokemon bug every couple of years. I was a bit burnt on Scarlet and Violet. It ran like shit on the Switch, but I got a Switch 2. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, I don't think I've had a really great Pokemon experience since the remake of Pearl and Diamond, I want to say it was, that came out about 5 years ago, where they did like the 2.5D top-down Zelda-esque style remake of it. I love Let's Go Pikachu because that was basically Pokemon Yellow. That was great. And I know Richie played Legends Arceus, and he said it was very different, but he enjoyed it. And then ZA seems to be like the next spin-off continuation of that series, and I just look at it and think, like they talked about like there's going to be Rogue, Gigantamax evolutions and side activities and fight. And you know what? I don't know if I'm just maybe really, really burnt out on Pokemon now, where it's like I'm so far detached from the original generation.
It feels like just adding like just everything, just put a Pokemon skin on it.
I mean, there was a Dragonite in the trailer which has big stupid fucking angel wings sticking out of its ears, and I'm just looking at it thinking like, I know Pokemon's been ridiculous for many, many years now, but I don't know if I'm just getting at my wit's end with it, where I'm like, you're not really. I'm playing so many phenomenal games that Game Freak just don't have that in them anymore. Like it's almost like the games industry has outgrew them, and I get it's not for me. It's for kids and stuff, and I'm sure they'll sell millions upon millions of games. But yeah, I can't help but look at it and go like, I want more from my Pokemon games now.
Yeah,
and I ain't getting it in this, but maybe I'm just not the audience. So yeah, so for a whole 40-minute presentation, there was very little in there, so thought I'd put it at the back at the end of the show. Alongside the last few stories, Infamous director would love to see a trilogy released, but Sucker Punch is one game at a time, and they're currently doing Ghost of Tsushima. Infamous games, they're stranded on PlayStation 3 or cloud streaming. That pains me, because a remaster of that package would be brilliant. I think in a world where superheroes maybe aren't the big go-to one, these games are so much fun. And I think to this day, I think Second Son, which was like a PS4, I think the first 2-3 years it came out, I think the gameplay of like switching between being smoke and electric and light was such good gameplay, so fun. And the first two games, just having like electric powers is like destroying a city is fantastic.
Yeah, like I'd love a re-release of the first two, or maybe like I'd even take like a rework or like a reimagination, just like, because I think if we go back to like the original Infamous now, like the morality system was like, it was new and it was great at the time, but like choice, I remember the choice to be very binary. I think it was like save the orphans or electrocute the orphans to death type of stuff. Like there was like
you don't really have to think long on that, do you?
it's like, but like they're not like the good powers or like the bad powers. Like they got the better powers, I think.
Yeah, your skill tree went.
Yeah, but I'd love the next installment of Infamous. Like just bring it back alive. I think it could do really well.
Yeah, I think, again, Infamous, it's one of them where they made that pivot, didn't they, after the second one, where they did new protagonist, new location, and they kind of got away from Cole's story, which I think it was the right decision, but at the same time, I think again, similar to Sucker Punch like they're doing now, they're moving away from Jin Sakai to a new protagonist. It's like, is that just like...
They're brave, aren't they? They're very brave.
Yeah, I mean, developers. It needs to be, but yeah, I think... A good thing with remasters, one, bring it over to new hardware, so like whole new audiences can get it. Like give it a polish of paint, repackage it in some way, put it out, and then it's a good way to test the waters for just after you've wrapped it with Ghost of Yotei, where you sit as a company. Like, do you go straight into a third Ghost game, or do you maybe put that one on the back burner for a little bit and go back to something like tested and true, which is the Infamous series? And then I think that's where they could go in with a reboot of the original, or they could just do a third entry with Cole, like follow up from 1 and 2 and just make a third entry and be like, we're back. But I feel similar at the Resistance games. They're trapped on PlayStation 3 as well. And I hate looking at my Xbox thinking it's got so much backwards compatibility, and Microsoft do amazing things on that front. And yet these absolute PlayStation exclusive classics that I adored, I have to dust out my PS3 from like 25 years ago just to play. And it baffles me that we have to do that in today's world. But not with Second Son. I guess Second Son is PS4, so that is forwards compatible. But the original two,
you can get that. Yeah,
you have to stream them on.
It's all those PlayStation 3 games, man.
Sucks. And then I guess the last one of the week is just a spotlight on some TV shenanigans going on right now. Amazon MGM Studios have announced that the next game adaptation that's getting covered is Wolfenstein. The story of killing Nazis is apparently evergreen. And we're back again. Rob Variety reports that the exact plot details have yet to be disclosed, but the show's official tagline reminds us about the kind of plot storyline of Wolfenstein. They haven't announced anyone yet. They've said producers are on board. They've not really confirmed any names. Who's going to play BJ Blazkowicz, is it? I want to say is his surname.
Yeah.
Thoughts on this? I guess I think again, killing Nazis works. I think we saw The Man in High Castle in an alternative future. Worked very well, and I guess Amazon are clearly all in on this video game adaptation. After the success of Fallout, I think they'll take anything right now. You could throw them Bubsy 3D IP and they'd probably make it into a kid's cartoon.
I think when it comes to having like enemies in games as well, like the Nazis are like one of the only safe places at the moment. Like you can't really go like in on Russians because you can't really go on Middle East stuff because of all like the Middle East now. Like, but like Nazis are always a safe space where like there's no kind of nuance to that, is it? It's just like nope, this is safe. Like we can depict this on TV, kind of.
Yeah,
without getting backlash or anything.
The Wolfenstein games are so fun as well. Like, I think the best thing that it's probably got for a TV adaptation is the storyline's not really that detailed. It's very much just shit happens here, you kill a bunch of people, you get through the next part, you blow a couple of tanks up, you get through this part, and then you fight the big boss at the end. Like, they're great games, but they are very much centered around just fun, frenetic shooting gameplay and killing Nazis, which is always, again, fun. Yeah. So I think for a TV show, they can kind of just make it their own. They can go super comedy, or they can pivot and go like maybe a bit more hardcore.
Yeah, and I think you don't risk. It's relatively safer as a fan, kind of. You know, like you will kind of like kill, like really infuriate the fan base because there is no like story to like be seen to be stepping on, whether or not you are or not. But like, there's nothing there to kind of people to get offended about, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I just have to stop playing the trailer on the video version because the Wolfenstein gameplay launch trailer just was literally straight up showing footage of like Hitler in World War. And I was like, I don't know what YouTube's rules are like around showing like Nazi propaganda videos, and then like another 30 seconds in it finally gets to like gameplay, and I was like, well, that's a choice.
Well, I think the flag will get you on it.
Yeah, possibly,
like,
yeah, quite possibly.
I've seen like there's a channel I follow for I can't divine it, but I play a lot. Yeah. It's like, and obviously, like they have to, like it's accurate that they have to use like the iconography. And stuff
of
there.
course, yeah.
But like it's basically just like the red flag, the white circle, but then there's like a $sign covering like the thing.
That sounds like the flag Trump would use if he was to go all out. Yeah, it's just a $sign instead of the swastika.
Yeah. But no, we might have to cover that one up.
Yeah. And then on the flip side of that, Amazon have also announced that the Mass Effect TV series is going to share the same production team as Fallout. So after the success of Fallout, they've said a lot of the lead, directors, creative writers, and a lot of the production crew who do like the prosthetics and stuff, they're going to move over, and they're happy to announce that they're working on the Mass Effect show for Amazon as well, which is in the writer's room. It's top of the docket for 2025, so again, you'd imagine you probably see that maybe back end of next year or the beginning of 2027. Yeah, Amazon fully committed. I thoroughly enjoyed Fallout, so I guess if they can do Mass Effect and Wolfenstein any kind of justice, they seem to be the ones at the moment.
Particularly like the visuals in Fallout were like flawless. Like they really brought the universe to life.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think it's in safe hands. Mass Effect.
We'll have more of that in the months and weeks to come. Rob, we like to end every show, of course, with looking back at this day in video game history. We're recording on Saturday, the 26th of July. Let's have a look. Anything in particular that jumps out for you from today's list?
Carmageddon. That's a formative thing in my life.
Carmageddon. What are we at? Skipping ahead a day or two, see if there's anything. Nothing really. Digimon game, pretty lame. Dr. Mario, nothing really.
No, the trouble is we're in summer now, so this is like a dead zone for games, isn't it?
Yeah, back in the day.
Everyone's on holiday and stuff, so why would you release a game?
5 years ago, on the 28th of July, we got the original Grounded, which I guess is a nice tie to Grounded 2 coming out this week. 5-year celebration, and then your sequel's coming out. Didn't even realise it was 5 years ago. Skipping ahead to the 29th of July then, Echo the Dolphin on the Sega Genesis, 32 years ago in 1993.
We also had Hot Shots Golf 2 as well, tying with the release of Gilmore 2,
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. And, 2 golfing-themed things in pop culture. That's not going to happen again for a long time.
One I don't really know what it is, but came out 26 years ago in Japan in 99 on the Dreamcast. Seamen. a game called Seamen. I'm guessing it's going to be about the latter. Reading from the description
so. Is this Dreamcast? There's some weird games in the Dreamcast.
Description. Now that you have obtained your own semen egg, use the faithful recreation of Dr. Gass's laboratory to follow in his footsteps, uncovering the secrets of the semen. When the semen egg hatches, the adventure begins. And I need to know more about this game before.
There's a weird. The cover is weird because it's got like some kind of like rat creature.
It's
caution semen. Are you looking at the same site?
I am, yeah. I'm looking at the Sega Wiki fandom. You know what? I need to get some video. If you're an audio listener, you need to probably go over to YouTube video now to watch this, because this, I'm going to play the introduction
This is
to Don't Panic, the Seaman will get you. So he's playing it on the Dreamcast.
No, wait, it was a voice-activated game, and you got the microphone in the box.
Oh, that sounds bad on so many fronts. Seaman.
I've also got lots of information about David Seaman.
Oh yeah, that's standard. Yeah, so it looks like a point-and-click adventure, almost, where you're clicking around a fish tank, looking for the Seaman, I guess. Oh, what is that? That's horrendous. Oh, it's just a. I'm waiting for the moment he finds the Seaman. I need to find out like the horrific moment this creature reveals itself to us. Oh, there he is. So I don't know. Oh my god, it's just like a baby's. You know, in Toy Story 1, when Sid's toys, he's kind of just ripped them apart and stuck things together. He's took one of the doll's heads and put it on a fish.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at as well.
And he's swimming around a tank with a little baby Seaman, I guess. Oh wow. How did that?
This could only have been made in like when was it? When did
99?
Yeah. This was like the weirdness of the 99 2000.
So it's a simulation / virtual pet game. It's unique in that it's played with the Dreamcast microphone, as you allude to. So the plot, in 1930, Dr. Jean-Paul Gassi, a member of the special team of French biologists, was sent to Egypt. He was determined to research a creature he deemed the omnipotent messenger of the gods. He met up with a local fisherman.
The gods or the cods?
The gods.
Okay.
He met up with a local fisherman who had caught a mysterious-looking fish with the face of a human. Obtaining some samples of semen eggs, Gassi headed back to France while attempting to raise the young, but they died in his care. He wrote his thesis shortly after, claiming that these strange fish were responsible for spreading knowledge during the Third Dynasty period. However, with no live specimens, this thesis was written off by fellow scholars as a PR stunt, and Gassi discredited. In February 1999, parts of Gassi's journal and notes were found by the Medusa family in a prefecture of Japan. Professor Takahashi was directed in the Japanese branch of a random company, successfully managed to breed semen eggs in captivity. Soon after, semen was presented in aquariums across Japan. And then it goes on to this whole phase of gameplay. Wow.
This could only have happened. Like, this is the same time period where, like, do you like the Insane Clown Posse rap group? They were a thing as well. So, like,
yeah.
This could only have happened in that time period.
Okay. So, a couple of bits of trivia. The face, this was designed by Yu Satayo, a Japanese game developer. The face of the fish is his own face. And the baby fish's gibberish is often words played backwards, including the play insults such as "you're an idiot." And the narrator in the game is Leonard Nimoy, who plays himself.
Wow.
That is the most random end of this show I think we've ever had with the Seaman, or the Seaman, from Dreamcast
1999.
in 1999. Yep. Doesn't get much stranger than that, folks. But that does bring us to an end of this week's episode of the Gamer Guild Podcast. Thank you, of course, for tuning in, listening, however you consume our content. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell so you get in the loop with all the great content we bring you. Maybe not the Seamen, we don't bring you that, but we do bring you weekly live streams.
Please put the Seaman in the
No,
in the
we
thumbnail.
don't. We don't. Unless Richie's coming back to Turkey with something else other than teeth and hair. I'm not too sure. But that does bring us to an end. Thank you very much for watching. My name's been Chris.
And I've been Rob.
And remember, folks, play it whatever makes you the happiest. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Seaman you later.
Seamen you later. That's terrible.